Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen who have joined us on this Dr. Fundi channel. My name is Fundi Lenyati. I'm the host of this show. So today, being the 26th of September 2021, we are still in the Heritage Month in South Africa. This is a month where we, explore and celebrate various aspects of our heritage, whether we're talking music or we're talking food or we're talking language. And today we are going to celebrate our heritage by focusing on matters relating to fashion and specifically African fashion. All right, so we're gonna have a lovely time. My guest, special guest today is Phiwase Nxumalo. Most people, they know her as Phiwase. Today I'm just giving you the full name, Miss Phiwase Nxumalo, who hails from Mbabane, Eswatini. Her early life was there in Swaziland or Eswatini. Qualified marketer and advertiser. So she is a qualified marketing and advertising professional who spent a lot of time in the broadcast world as well. She, at some point, she was my employer at SABC when she was the program manager or something like that at Metro FM. And when I was looking for a gig, as I was trying to decide whether to continue to be in medicine or to venture into something else, she became that angel that offered me an opportunity, and I became Dr. Metro for about 3 years, thanks to her. So this show is actually part of me just, saying thank you to Phiwase. Like I said, she grew up in Eswatini, went to Waterford, Kamhlaba, went to St. Mark's High School in Mbabane, and came this side. And obviously, she studied, a tertiary institution called Thames Valley University, where she got her marketing and advertising, qualifications. She's been in Joburg for over, 2 decades. Now, please don't try and deduce her age from that. Right, so she is a Joburger through and through. In the 90s, especially from the mid-90s, we were in many social events, together. And she was almost like a twin to Uzandile Nxumalo. Wherever you saw her, you will see Uzandile Nxumalo. Or if you see Uzandile Nxumalo, you will see Phiwase. Yeah, so so we're gonna be chatting to Phiwase because some people, they go to school, they study for certain careers, and they practice those for about a year, sometimes 5 years, 10 years. And when they reach, the age of around 40, they start becoming itchy, and they go for what we refer to as a midlife career change, where they then, focus on pursuing their area of interest, which is not necessarily what they studied, but something that they are passionate about. So for Phiwase, she underwent a midlife career change. She followed her passion and interest and actually used her own resources to start a House of Diva fashion house or fashion label. Most people would know that at some point in the 90s and the early 2000s, there was this thing that girls are doing it for themselves. So, she decided, I'm going to do it, on my own. I will set up this House of Diva. And she refers to herself as the chief magician. That is another name for a chief executive officer. So she's the founder and the CEO of the House of Diva. All right, so that is our guest today. Phiwase, welcome to the Dr. Fundi channel.
Thank you, Fundi. I've laughed throughout that introduction. It's like, it's hilarious. And I'm like, is that me? All that.
Now, there's something else I'm going to do just now, which is what I normally do, to people who have got itakazel. All right?
Oh,
so
my
I'm going
favorite
to do
thing.
that to you. So she is Nxumalo, umandwandwe, and I need to make sure that ngimbonga kahle ngibiza yena nabantu abahamba naye, so undwandwe wasegudu
Oh, my
ngabake sifaxa okasontondose omhlophe. I'm gonna skip this one. Othunda kuthole abafokazane usidinana sikamaphisa mkhathwa bathi besakhathwa ngezinde wena ube ukhathwa ngezimagqukumezana wena wakhokhela abana bekhathwa ngemikhono ngezinkomo wena wakwamnene wena wakwamashesha fike umashobana unozinyanga engekafiki wena
musho.
mnguni ongasinga mkhonto nogwaza bengahlunyulwa sazathi kumkhonto njengehawu ukhala indoda namadodeyana kade ungigwaza ndwade sengifikile langa. All right, so that was my attempt at ensuring that I welcome you by acknowledging your heritage. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Fundile. Namanje, I must then say, I'm here for a reason, therefore, because Sobongile wathi wabonga wathi Nxumayo Ndwandwe wena wasegudu wena wasegudungo wena wenithole khabo bani ke lapho khabo make nasusite kunene mdimanze bobhambo lunye awusesichedzile. It is blessed.
Thank you. So welcome to you and your entourage. I normally refer to them as the invisibles. It's important to invite them. All right, so Kiwi, today we are going to chat about all matters of fashion, specifically African fashion. Now, just tell us a little bit, this love for fashion, where did it start? Yes, it became
my favorite subject and favorite thing to talk about. So I can't own it. I'd love to own it, but I really can't because it goes back to belonging to the invisibles, as you've called them. Both of my parents are now, invisibles and by my side, so my guardian angels. Yes. And it really just does belong to them. So growing up, my father used to travel a lot, sometimes with my mom as well, but around the world, but a lot around the continent of Africa, our beautiful continent. And my dad would always, and I mean always, bring Mama back the most amazing African print fabrics.
Yes.
Sometimes it would be outfits that were already made. Sometimes it would be just be the actual cloth. And then my parents also entertained a lot in our home in Babane, one of the homes, Ekaya, and they also had a lot of international friends who came, from around the world, but around the continent as well. Friends from Zambia, Ghana, Zimbabwe, you name it. Botswana, we still got close family and family friends. And it was just always this mix of amazing fabrics that I grew up, seeing right in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
But, Mama wore these fabrics with such amazing grace. And I mean, she was just a beauty, but with such amazing grace. And Dad just was that guy. He would always pick these fabrics for her, bring her back the fabrics. I just grew up with an eye for them and a love for them. The fabrics around our continent. And just, the one thing people laugh at me about, and even my mother, I'd say, but I don't like this one. A lot of ladies will know it. It's simply called a boo-boo.
Yeah.
It's called different things around the continent, but it's really just African print, which the ladies, wear like you would wear all day and you do all your chores in it kind of thing. Very
Yeah.
kind of one size fits all. I didn't like it, Fundile, because I didn't find it elegant and structured. And I always loved the fabrics though, whether it was tie and dye or this kind of thing. And I think it just stayed at the back of my mind to want to be part of making an offering that women would be able to buy ready to wear, but beautiful, elegant African outfits.
Oh, okay. So you loved the prints. You didn't particularly, you were not so excited about the designs. And
I was so excited about the design.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
So you wanted to create stuff that's ready to wear, stuff that's maybe contemporary, that moves with the times, but still having the roots, in those African prints.
Yes, I want to actually call it African chic.
Yes.
My dream was to create a brand or a label or be a tastemaker for people who love African print fabric, but also just want it ready to wear. To be able to pick up a dress or a skirt or even a head wrap like the one I've got on, and use it as accessories and different things. I grew up, and I still think there's a big gap in that, and I continue with this dream and vision because I still think there's a big gap in a department store, for example, where you would walk in and actually the essence of that store would be African print fabric inspired clothing, but ready to wear. No need to go to a tailor, no need, if you're a certain size, you should be able to find your size, get what you love. And that really continues to be the vision. And I see the vision going beyond fashion. It must move into homeware. It must move into kiddies wear and all the rest of it. And it's exciting. I continue with the team. We continue with this vision. And honestly, I think we're going to get there. And I see so many things as African, as African print and African designers and African, and not just designers, clothing designers, but interior designers and all the rest of it get into the space. And African, fabrics or brands become luxury brands as well.
Yeah.
I think there's so much here. There's so much to be said and so much to be done.
All right, let's go back to this whole thing of African fashion, and maybe let's start with the African print. Let's start with the African print, because when I was when I was preparing for this session, I thought, what? Let me just go and read a little bit about these prints. At what point did they become, to be associated with Africa? And I learned that actually, as Africans, we appropriated, these prints, but actually, these originally were what they call it, batik prints from Indonesia. All right, so Indonesians, they specialize, and for centuries they were specializing in making these kind of prints. And some of the colonizers, and in this instance, the Dutch colonizers, actually decided, they must steal a little bit of that and come and mass produce in Europe, but they were never really able to produce them the way they were produced in Indonesia. And at the same time, they were getting African people, conscripting men from West Africa to go and help them to fight some wars that side. And those guys would come back home to Africa with these batik, prints from Indonesia. And out of that, the Africans loved, these prints. All right, so the Dutch people decided, maybe there's a new market where we can sell these things, because we are not able to penetrate Indonesia, with their original stuff. But actually, the Africans love these. And instead of giving it a number in terms of, the print, they actually gave it names. You have the Ankaras, you've got the what do you call it now? From Ghana, you got the print there, from Ghana, you've got a print that's associated nowadays, with the Southern African region that is
We've got yes, we've got our Sishweshwe in this part of the world. There's wax prints as well. It's just, it's amazing.
Yes, so for me, it was interesting, but at this point, almost 200 years later, when you talk, African prints, we know exactly. And they have gone further to not just be clothing. That's why one says African print is more than fashion. It's more than fashion, because we now have got different prints for different moods, when we are happy, when we're celebrating, when we are going through tough times, somebody who's just lost maybe a relative or a spouse, they wear some of these prints for a certain period. So, so for you, what is it that attracted to this heritage? Besides the fact that your mom had a huge collection.
Had an eye for it. So I've got this big confession to make. I just love clothes, right? So that's for me, I think, is the biggest thing about this. I've always had a love for clothes. I think even as I went down my path, my journey of advertising and marketing, broadcasting, and and so remember to keep your tone right. I was your boss once, right? So I'm still checking that tone. But even as I honestly, Fundi, even as I went right, I think just being an African means so much to me. I think there's so much in terms of our heritage and in terms of our culture. And in the beginning, you not only went through Isithakazelo Zami, but also you continue to remind me that as Africans, I draw inspiration around the clothing brand because of my heritage. I really do, and because of my culture, and my particular surname or my particular clan of people, we actually come from royalty. So even as I design all that inspiration, all my history, I laugh all the time when people say, "Oh, Phiwase, you love purple," and I always say yes. Purple is the color of royalty, guys. Because it is, but I do. I really get inspired. My culture, my heritage, and also just being Liswati. We are hectic. We have an amazing culture, amazing history, amazing heritage. And I had, again, I'm going to need to keep on thanking them. Those members of my family that are still alive, even, and those who have now become my guardian angels, that from a very young age, you heard me earlier, sikhuliswe thina vele ngesithakazelo, ngesithakazelo zethu, nani. So for me, culture, heritage, colors, mixing it in with my tradition, and also, the idea of just that we are royal, we're special, has always been, it lends itself to what I do now in terms of design.
Yeah. Now, when one looks at African prints, they are generally very bold, very colorful, well-colored, they ooze energy. And in fact, even if somebody might be going through a difficult time, some depression or something, but when they put on those clothes, it doesn't tell to the next person that this person is going through stuff, because there's just so much energy. you know.
Look at me. Look at me. Do I look like a person with problems? I mean, yes, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. But you say something so important, because we use it as Africans, and I think I speak for the whole continent. But I'm going to think be more specialist around the southern tip of Africa. But I think generally we use fabrics to symbolize and to celebrate, or even to mourn different things.
Yes.
If you look at one of the fabrics that are closer to us, and I would say Sishweshwe. Yes. And if you look at marriages, I think I said this off camera when we were prepping, but I'm going to say it again. So happy anniversary, sir. 18 years into it.
Thank you very much.
I want to use you and your lovely wife, because I would assume that 18 years ago there were all different kinds of ceremonies. Yes. As a Xhosa clan, and I'm not sure where, what tribe she is necessarily from, but yes. I know, for example,
she's Ndebele, the northern Ndebele.
Oh my goodness! So, oh my goodness! So my two most favorite. So the Ndebele prince, and then also just the Xhosa bridal kind of ensemble, I think is absolutely stunning. So it goes back to what you're saying, in that we celebrate, fabric will symbolize different things and different moods, and what it depends what we're doing. Umakoti, for example, might wear something quite slightly more subdued. Yeah. Because umakoti, maybe when we're mourning, we could still wear shweshwe, but we would find a more subdued color. Yeah. But maybe nasoqela, maybe nasesgida, maybe nasesimthatha umfazi, we are very, very bright and colorful. I know with us, the Maswati would see, when we turn up, and we call it umtsimba, when we turn up, we would, for example, maybe wear the same lihia in a bright red or a bright blue or bright, and that symbolizes joy and that occasion for that time. And then fabric again will go all the way into mourning, and we will then wear black. Yes. For a while or for a reason. And so colors and fabrics are a very important part of our heritage.
Yes. Now, one thing that I've also noticed, when you look at, again, from West Africa, all the way to here, and even you today, the headgear, it's not, the outfit is not complete without a headgear. What is it about the headgear, and African fashion?
The headgear again, yes, African fashion, but I want to say, even more than African fashion, I want to say African culture, because the headgear also takes on different things as we go along. I mean, right now I'm wearing it as a really cool, hopefully, fashion statement. It's Heritage Day, or Heritage Weekend. But it also now means I could wear head wrap on a bad hair day. Yeah. And that also becomes, okay, I'm going to do a wrap. But it also could become back again, gutinging makoti, gear to my in-laws, and it is a sign of respect. I would then headgear. So there's so much that goes with headgear in that regard now. And I think we also, so it can be a fashion statement. It can be a sign of respect. It can be, okay, I'll quickly do this and match this now. Because I think what I'm loving so much, Fundi, is that we're starting to own more and more. We're starting to own these kind of prints and fabrics and do more and more with them. So if it's not a head wrap, it could be an African print sporty.
Yes.
We still say sporty. I can't get myself to say bucket hat. I still say sporty. So, so that could also, that has become a fashion statement as well.
Yes.
Correct. So the headgear thing, I think, is that it's got its many phases.
Meanings, and also on top of the headgear, other accessories like the earrings, and the necklaces, you know, and you know, wristbands or things like that, you know. So with the stuff that you are doing at the House of Diva, I normally see some of the stuff that you are showing on Facebook. You know, the whole outfit will have all of those elements. You know?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that continues to speak of the African-inspired emporium,
yes,
which is the bigger dream. The
yes.
bigger dream is to have the African-inspired emporium where you can find all these things. But
Yes.
I want to take you back to ancient times as well. But some of these cultures that we still certainly practice, I know in my clan, in my country, that, for example, jewelry can play a very big role. As a royal child is born, the mother wears something we call it ematinda. So
Yes.
what it is that it symbolizes that this woman has given birth to a royal child. They are worn around your neck here, and they are made out of a certain bark of a certain tree.
Yeah.
Depending which royal clan you come from.
Yeah.
It would be, but the bark would be different, and you would wear that. So that's one thing. That is jewelry and accessories that clearly we started using ancient, you know, long times ago. Now it again, we accessorize with it. We use it to express ourselves. I loved what you said earlier about the prince being bold and beautiful. I am a chief magician, you explained, and not designer. But the earrings I particularly got on today, this is actually a take on a measuring tape.
Yeah. I can see.
So what this is very much a part of what I do, but I've worn it in a very funky way. And I found these downtown, and I said to the guy, I need to have those now. But, you know, so it's the creativity. I mean, how amazing is that? This is very much a designer's measuring tape, which somebody, you know, had the creativity to turn into a pair of earrings. So the accessories have always been there, Fundile, in different ways, different things. But you said it earlier as well. I think things are starting now to also be fashion statements and take on different ways. But let me tell you now, our ancestors and so forth, they started using jewelry to symbolize and for different reasons, to symbolize different things, different reasons, to celebrate occasions. Like I say, when we get born, you know, your mother would wear a matinda. And so wherever she went, you know, there would be that understanding that she has just given birth to a royal baby or a royal child, and so on and so forth. So, you know, for me, the accessories, you will see me wearing them, as you say, when we put out our product on social media, because we really want to continue and make it a big part of the product offering, because we want the offering to be holistic.
Yes.
In terms of our culture and our heritage, it must be holistic. We must carry on with jewelry as well and accessories that, you know, that enhance the clothes as well.
Yes. Now, you know, a few months ago, I hosted, you know, Utebe Ikalafing.
Yes.
Yes. You know, we were talking about other issues, you know, around branding. But one of the things, you know, I discovered, you know, when I was preparing for that interview, was that he had done, or he continues to do, a survey about the top brands in the continent. Wow. And one of the things that he said was that 80% of the top brands in Africa or within this continent are actually foreign brands. Yep. Right? Brands from, you know, Europe, America, you know, aspirational brands from those continents. And only 20% were actually brands that come from this continent.
Oh my God, that's it. That's terrible. Okay. Yes, we've got a lot of work to do.
Yes. So what he was saying is that, you know, this thing is not going to change unless we, as the Africans, you know, take pride in, stuff that is produced here by other Africans, support them. And when it is, done, handmade, you spend so many hours producing that stuff and it becomes a premium outfit, we must be willing to pay for it in the same way as if it had a Gucci thing or an LV or something else. So there is this thing about us not valuing the homegrown brands. I'll use another brand, in the clothing space, which is Makosa. I think, Makosa.
Yes.
He has deliberately decided to put or to position his brand as a premium brand that you pay a lot of money for. Okay? And is unapologetic about that.
Yes.
There is a new brand of sneakers called Batu, which is taking South Africa by storm.
But I own a pair, by the way. I own a pair, and you know what they did for me on that pair? They actually custom made that pair. So at the back of my Batu is Mnguni Wasekudu. So it's Tagazelo Zania on the pair of Batu. How amazing is that?
You see, and a foreign brand may not allow for that kind of customization that actually includes your ancestry, So and that brand is doing very well, and there are many other homegrown brands, and yours as the House of Diva, again, it's one of the brands that are coming up. And I'm sure in your vision, and I'm going to ask you, we're going to focus on the business side a little bit about the House of Diva, but I'm sure in your vision, you want it to be one of the most recognizable brands across the continent, and beyond. All right.
Yes.
So, but it starts with us as the African consumers. We need to be able to value that which has been produced in this
ourselves. Yeah.
Now let's then get to the House of Diva. How easy or how difficult was it for you to actually venture out to say, you know what, I'm now going to do this thing? Because to start a business, it's not easy. There is the concept that you need to really work your mind around to make sure that it's a bankable concept. Okay, it's not just about your passion, but there is a market for that. And then there is the whole issue of raising funds, to get this business off the ground, because it may take a year or two. Usually, it takes about 3 years for new brands to break even. For new businesses rather to break even. So for you to leave the comfort of employment, actually say, I'm going to employ myself, I'll use my resources and I'll put them into this thing because I so believe in it. Just tell us a little bit about that.
So Fundile, very, my path, very, very interesting in terms of the House of Diva and how the House of Diva was actually then became a reality. I think I can safely say that as a even in my teens, from as early as probably the age of 18 or so, I could have told you that I would have branched into the fashion world or the retail space. I think it was always in my blood, always in my DNA. And I think there was a reason why I grew up around, say, the African prince or my love for clothing and all of that. But I honestly think when it was time to start the business and self-fund it, I was much, much older. And I think I was at a point where I didn't need to think very hard about doing it. I knew that it was something that I was going to do. I was no longer a young lady, and I'd been able to kind of, for 2 years or so before, save and start the business. What I had never, ever banked on, though, is how difficult it is, how competitive and difficult, and just breaking into the market. And then the other elements that came with it, I mean, I remember having now the brand gone into a chain store. Yeah. And we were, we were doing really well in this chain store, and it was amazing because one of their branches was actually even in Soweto, Emaponya Mall. Yes. Then Rosebank, and they just grew, and Menlyn and this and this. But I'm making this, I'm saying this for a reason, because I mean, some things just take you by surprise. Even if you had the funding or the privilege of having the funding, whether you saved for it or had this vision, but suddenly 6 months into this brand, we were being copied all the way. There were Chinese copies coming in. Yes. Of the brand. Yes. So can you imagine, you've now put in all that work and getting the brand right, and there are these cut-offs, these rip-off fake copies coming in from China. Yes. So you're trying to keep the brand real. You're trying to keep it real and put everything you've got in it, and you've now got these copies. Yes. So, there were things that I would never have thought of as I got into the business. Then yes, the business is extremely competitive, and there's that, and that's great. And I think, with every business, you must have the courage and the passion to run with those kind of things. Yeah. But back to your specific point on value, it is one of the saddest things to see, and it is absolutely correct that it's a cultural thing. But it is amazing, and there's such a juxtaposition for me, because when I look at some of the brands, and there was a recent story, I think even less than 2 months ago, where there was a story done on how even now, in these times of COVID, where we need the social distancing and so many people in stores and so forth, how some of the big international brands, month end, have these long lines, these long queues of people waiting to come in to buy. And that is not necessarily a House of Diva, one of the local other designer stories.
That's in the Diamond Walk.
Yes, but what is very interesting for me is that, I have done some international markets with the brand. We've traveled with the brand. We've done international markets. And it's amazing how much more the brand is valued there. And we've never really had to handle about price. It becomes, this is the price. And I've actually, on these international travels, we'd rather have people in Europe, in Europe, in the US and so forth, say to us, are you sure that's the price? It's in dollars, or it's in euros, or it's in pounds, right? And we're going, yeah, that's and so what I'm saying is that people are willing and able to buy our own homemade, homegrown product, and therefore, for me, value it far more than we do. In my own, or on my own continent, in my own space, my brand is not as valued. And I have a lot of, I'd probably rather say for that, European or overseas brand quicker than I would do, say, a skirt from the House of Diva, because I think she's overpriced, and I can probably go take it to a tailor who can do exactly the same thing for me.
Yeah,
it's quite heartbreaking, because this is what we have to kind of put up with, and I'm sure I speak for a lot of local designers. But before I hand over to you again, I just want that point that you and Tebe came up with. The other thing about a lot of the stuff that we do as African designers is the attention to detail. Yes. And the integral detail, therefore, of it. And so it is very sad when we don't get valued, or the brand gets valued by our own, because, I can get someone else to do a similar thing as what Phiwase is doing, or they're doing at House of Diva, or whatever other brand. So it's a subject that's very close to my heart, and now that you've brought it up, I'm going to put it upon you to make us have more conversations around this collectively, and say, guys, how do we change this narrative
You know, Piwe, it's 27 years that we've been free, at least to vote, okay?
Yes.
But I think there are other issues that we did not really deal with in our freedom. We were liberated partially, but in terms of the mind, you know, our minds were colonized to only, you know, appreciate that which comes from elsewhere and look down upon that which comes from us, or that which is linked to our culture and heritage. And so it is not going to happen automatically. In fact, I normally say at a political consciousness level, one of the things that I think the ruling party philosophy is lacking is the Black consciousness mindset, you know, the mindset of, you know, taking pride in being Black, you know, taking pride, you know, in actually, you know, being self-reliant as a people, supporting each other, you know. So we are liberated, but we still need to actually understand the fact that for as long as we think something that comes from elsewhere is better than ours, then we still have a long way to go. What is funny though, is that some of these global brands will take something that, let's say, a Makosa did. They go and do it and they put that label, and we will go and pay those dollars. All right, that bag, you know, this bag that is normally used by people who are going to Zim, you know, with a lot of threads. It's like one of these big bags that people who go on taxis and stuff, you know, they normally, not a handbag, like, you know, a big kind of bag, I've forgotten the name. But anyway,
Konzekai.
That one. One of the top brands, Zangapande, you know, actually started making bags and put their label. And our people were actually queuing to order that.
Exactly.
All right. Exactly. Yet these guys were actually popularizing, you know, stuff from here, from home. So we should actually refuse to buy copies of something that has been done by Phiwase. And in fact, your business uses a lot of African print, and the Chinese copies of the African print now is a big problem. Even the company that for years in Dutch, you know, in Netherlands has been doing these prints, or even Dagama here in South Africa that has been doing the German prints, they are now battling these cheap copies from China. You know, but we need to be able to appreciate. And there's a bigger value chain, you know, in terms of producing these prints. But how are our people going to be able to be competitive in producing these when they can be done at a fraction in China?
You know, Fundile, I think you're onto something there. So the first thing is the need for us to be competitive, right? Because I think, you know, again, I'm just going to say it's in our DNA. I think we own this from a cultural kind of in our DNA, the creativity and the things we can do with our prints and so on. But you know, thinking and giving thought to some of these things, and it would be very interesting. And I've actually seen Tebe do a presentation once on this very subject. But for me, it would be interesting how we could actually be more, you know, more about coming together and dealing with it in a back to what I said earlier, in the way that allows our brands for us to believe in our own magic, but that allows our brands to become luxury brands. Exactly. In the same way that you've mentioned Makosa and what they've done. So it does it not even start from within? Does it not start with the team at House of Diva that value what we do so much that we are unapologetic about how much we then charge from it. I remember almost kicking myself off the kind of the board or the committee that decided this is the design, this is the patterns, and I'm great at that part. But then when it comes to actually pricing my own stuff, I realized that, P, you're a bit of a socialist, because in my mind, I want everybody to be able to afford this and to be able to have it and buy it. And that becomes the thing, I think, when Fundi, that you have to understand, Guti, we are not going to get anywhere if that's our mindset. Because that mind,
or at least within your product range, you must have
that mindset keeps us saying, well, I can.
Hi, Phiwase. All right. Yeah.
Oh,
Phiwase. All right. Your signal is a bit unstable there. Phiwase.
Once we start doing that, what we are not now doing is, I would say, the safety numbers. Why aren't we collectively as African designers, whether it's clothing, whether it's artifacts, whether it's accessories, saying we are worthy and doing it together? So are we not the people who should be looking, for example, to our government and big organizations and saying, we want the other way around? We want to at least 3 times a year be able to showcase overseas and take our beautiful, beautiful, locally made creations. And get them and showcase them there and be proud.
Without being negative, so I think you guys, as the industry, I think the issue of conscientizing people about what is behind your pricing,
Sure.
And not only that, for people to know what's the difference between a fashion designer and the lady down the road who
a seamstress or a tailor. And this is actually, I love what you're saying, because this is actually, I get so passionate and heated around this one, because I say, guys, there is a difference. Even in my own business, I am the chief magician, aka the head designer, but I have 2 head tailors. Because they are tailors. And I'm a designer. Theirs is to put together the design and the pattern that I've now cut and wanting to now bring forth. Theirs is to sit on the machines and to make it happen. It is, person is a tailor. So until we get, because it's that thing which also anyone can kind of do that. I mean, if I find that print, similar to the one Phiwase is wearing, Nami, I can come out with something really, really beautiful. But it's the attention to detail. In our case, it's does the garment have pockets? Does it have piping? Does it have beading? How much work and time has been put into this? And then I think the thing that's very close to my heart is the idea that we as African designers, local designers, and what we do also are feeding families. These are businesses, guys. These are businesses. We are feeding families. We have got skilled people who work on these businesses. And this is the way they then feed their families. It's this chain. It's this chain of magic and talent that gets now underplayed when we keep, because for me, it's a form of colonization. The fact that, no, I'd rather say for a Gucci handbag, an LV handbag, and this and that handbag, instead of looking within. But if you put that label on the very thing that is locally made by our own people, then its value goes up. Yes, a European person or somebody from Europe, from the US, could look at, it has no problem with my prices, but my own people do, or might have.
unless your clothing gets to be worn by Beyonce, because even Makosa, you know, when Beyonce bought an item in Makosa, then we started getting to know about the Makosa brand. You know, some of the designers from West Africa, when Michelle Obama, you know, started wearing some of their, you know, of their stuff, then we put value in that. So somebody else must validate and put
our own,
before we actually, and it doesn't happen only with, you know, your fashion, but even if it's music, you get the world appreciating Mahotela Queens or you know, or other artists there too. And only when that happens do we then appreciate our own, you know, and it's still the same group of people. So that's why I was saying the mindset, you know. Now, just on what I'm wearing today, and I intentionally decided to wear this thing. So last year I showcased Kutala Mayos. I don't know if you know her, but anyway, she's a fashion designer, and we were at school together many moons ago. And she comes from a family of, you know, professors and all of those kind of people.
I'm definitely going to look out for her. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, I said to her, Kutala, I am starting this channel. It's gonna be a health channel. So I want to be able to have scrubs, medical scrubs, all right? But scrubs that you will not be able to get in any shop, all right? So I want detail that will be unique to me. And so she created a print, you know, with my logo of my brand. When she was putting up, and by the way, I love purple. Purple is one of my colors. That's why you're seeing a lot of it. And then she also put some beading, all right? She put some beading here, you know? All of them, there must be something that connects to the African continent. So the point I'm trying to make is that at times we must actually think and say, I'm gonna support, like now, I'm gonna talk to you after this show. I want you to do an outfit, a two-piece outfit, and I'll tell you how I want it, you know? And then you can put your magic on top of whatever that I'll say. The point I'm trying to say is we need to support you guys, you know, and vice versa. You guys need to support the hustle of other people. You know, that's the only way we are going to grow. We appreciate each other. We appreciate the different gifts and talents that we have. And in the process, we grow. You know, I mean, how many healthcare professionals are there in South Africa? You know, if somebody can specialize in doing this type of stuff, but it's got African print, you know? So I'm just giving you to say there is a lot that needs to happen in our minds to actually make a decision that I will support, you know, the people that are working day and night, creating magic so that we can look nice and not only wear this stuff on the 24th of September, but we must be able, in our wardrobes, we should have items from local, you know, designers that we wear with pride, you know, not in September only, but 365 days a year. Anyway, so where are you looking at in terms of the growth of your brand? You've already touched on it, you know, that it goes beyond the clothes. You're looking at certain things, but just tell us a little bit, you know, if we say 5 years from now, everything else going well, where do you see House of Diva going?
I mean, gosh, we're there, guys. We're already on that journey, and we're so excited. I mean, I'll just say it again. I mean, it's the big thing, and it's always been the vision. The big thing is really to create this emporium. This emporium where you're in a space. You're in the space that is so. Is inspired by all things African, but not in your, I think we've also got this, maybe it's the spaces that we're in as Africans or whatever, but, when I say African emporium, sometimes I get these looks for some people like, oh, P, you mean like a market? And I'm like, no, I mean like a place where you can actually get beautifully African-inspired crockery, homeware. So crockery would fall under homeware. So it would be crockery, cushions and so forth, where you get beautiful clothing, occasion wear and casual wear, where you would get exciting menswear, where you would get kiddies wear, where you'd get glassware perhaps, and so on and so forth. But really for me, and when I say this, Fundile, I'm not talking about one isolated store in a certain area in South Africa. I'm saying create these kind of emporiums all over the world.
Exactly.
And yes, as you have has been known to happen, there are certain international brands that will have stores all over the world, and when you walk into the store, there'll be this and this homeware section, and a clothing section, and a children's section, and that's what I'm looking at. But definitely globally, all over the world, where you're able to be proud and African and bold and feel the magic and almost touch it and just be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And, just really create a situation where we are proud of what we do, to the point where to wear it is the same way as we carry the big international brands with that whole confidence and boldness.
Now,
so in 5 years, lots of emporiums all over the world. And just really, spreading magic in all things heritage, culture, African.
Yes. Now, let's just press a pause there, Phiwase, because there's some comments from people who are watching, and I want to read them to you. Okay. And there's even potential business for you here. So my guest from yesterday, Dr. Nandi Pakatla, who is based in Durban, she's saying...
I watched... When I was researching you, I watched that live stream this morning. That is my person. I need to meet her just 5 minutes. She's my person. I loved it. I watched it on YouTube this morning.
Yeah, so she says, I am into Ankara outfits. I am looking for 2 stunning outfits for the coming traditional wedding ceremony in November, right? So this is a potential client who can pay. I know she loves, nice things, and she's prepared to pay for good quality. So there's Nandi Pakatla. I'm gonna connect her to you, after this show so that you can follow up. There's another message that's coming from Tax Ngadimeng. She is a friend to Ubasetana Nxumalo. They were together at varsity, and she's based in Polokwane. She's saying, for me, headgear wear is to show respect, pride, it's fashionable. I feel more complete with my crown on.
Yes.
There's somebody, Simulelo Ma Africa, just put South African flags, 3 of them. And then Dlamini, she loves the Nguni, Wasegudu, wash hands, thank you. And then there's Tembingosi Nxumalo, who said, well done, Nguni, with clapping hands. And then Dr. Katla has just written, thanks, would love to meet you too. So those are just some of the comments that are coming through on the stream, So Phiwase, it's important that we collaborate as the people, and yes, I focus a lot on health matters, but when it comes to celebrating people, I try to make sure that we celebrate people across, the different endeavors, because we are connected, and by us supporting each other, we will all win. And for me,
thank you. Thank you so much, because I think as you say, we come a long, long way, and without revealing both our ages at any point. But we come a long way in a sense that is similar just to what we're doing today. Because if you look at it, really the way we met, and I happen to be sitting in a position or at a space where I was able to say, well, why not give this guy a chance, you know? Why not have a Dr. Metro who's, you know, who's Xhosa and who's Black and this, you know? Let's give this guy a chance to do this. And for me, in the space I was in, I had to argue why you.
Yes.
Why you? Why him? Why, you know, why this guy? We also could have got some, you know, some other person wherever, some other how. And I tell you now, the only way is really for us to believe in each other, believe in each other's magic, and always remember that, you know, you're never on this path alone. Whether it's with the invisible bunch, or whether it's with each other as we are now to say, you know, I'm doing Heritage Day, and Yazi, let me call Phiwase. And let's see if she wouldn't do this. You know, or whether it was the interview I watched this morning with Dr. Kahla. I mean, it's all those different things, Fundile, but really just to emphasize on your point, we are the only ones who are going to change this. Yes. So your conversations as well with people that we look up to in the branding space, for example, Tebe, some of the other designers and brands we've mentioned here, you know, I know we're still all in this very virtual world because of COVID and the rest of it. But I'm really going to give you an assignment. Your assignment is to get all of us very soon in a room where we chat and we dialogue, and from different sectors, by the way. But where we chat and we dialogue and we really just openly support each other and show each other love. But more than anything, just say to each other, we believe in what we do. And I trust if we made that our mission in the next 5 years or so, we could turn that narrative around and start making more and more African luxury brands. And then I would want Tebe to do another presentation, and I want him at that presentation to say 80% of these brands are African, and 20% perhaps are from Europe and around the world.
Yes. Now, again, as I was preparing, I was looking at certain codes here that are relating to fashion. And I thought, you know, I would just, you know, hoy one or two of them. So there's one that says a woman has two problems. The first one is nothing to wear and no room for all the clothes. So can a woman ever have enough of clothes?
Never. So if there's a never and a clear never, that is one of them.
Yes.
A woman can never have enough clothes. I think my wardrobe, gosh, I would need to even hide as I say this. It could actually be as big as, you know, an average bedroom. But I have moments where I leave that wardrobe and everything's just on the floor because I can't find anything to wear.
Yet it's actually full like that. There's another one that says life is too short to wear boring clothes. And I think this one is very relevant when it comes to the African prints, because I've never seen an African print that is actually boring.
Never. It's there, you know, it's about being bold and beautiful and colorful. And, you know, I want to go back to something you said earlier. I've never even seen somebody wearing something in African print and looking unhappy, guys. It's just not doable. You know, there's something about African print that just makes you happy.
So there's another one. It says, it's a new era in fashion. There are no rules. So as you create your magic, I'm sure, you know, there are certain rules that you are bending, you know, cultural rules, you know, to say this for men or this for women or this or that, you know, to be able to cater for a contemporary, you know, modern African person.
Yes, you know, it's interesting for me, Fundile, because I don't fall under couture or bespoke. So I fall under ready to wear. And I think when you are in the ready-to-wear domain, you are under a lot of pressure because you are actually a taste maker. So anything that we design or do at the House of Diva, we do, and we almost then have to say, cross our fingers and go, okay, a very broad market of people are going to like this. It's not the same as you coming to us and say, well, I want a shirt like this, like that, like that, like that. We kind of tell you before you tell us that, Fundile, you're just going to see that and fall in love with it. Yeah. And if it's your wife or woman for that matter, we are banking on that skirt will have a broad enough approach or appeal rather when somebody sees it in a store. And so it's a little bit different for us because we are in the ready-to-wear business. So what we do get to do very much is that we get to break a lot of rules. And the one thing that I say about rules, especially at the House of Diva, we actually don't have rules that stop us from our magic or things that we love to do. Our main rule, and it's one of our probably one of our only ones, but biggest and one that we never want to break, is quality. We just want to produce a product that is all about quality, and there must never be a doubt about, oh yeah, but we also wear these other brands or overseas brands or this and this brands because our local brands or local designers, the quality is not good. Or so that for me would be my biggest rule, I would say. To make sure that the quality is quality that can, stand on its own globally, worldwide. We should be able to stand head to head with any other brand and therefore become unapologetic about our prices and so on. So that's the one thing. And then rules. One of the rules, I think if you ask my main clients, they'd say, Phiwase, there must always be pockets. So other than that, we really don't, we're not big with rules. Our big thing is quality.
Yeah. Now, in the African continent, generally, we've got a certain build. Other people like to call them ATMs or African trademarks. We tend to be gifted, with big buttocks, small waist, and all of those kind of things. So as you are doing your work and coming up with your creative, outfits, are you taking into account the shapes, that are quite prevalent here? Because I see other people, they like to make, when it comes to skirts, the what they call it, the A-line.
Yes, the A-line. You're not bad. So Fundi, I've actually got a term for it. We call it Divalicious. Yes. So our whole thing is that African women, oh my gosh, what a creation. I honestly think that was one of God's major good days, because we call it, so the one thing as well at the House of Diva that you'll find all the time is that we say we cater for all curves and edges, because that's what an African woman is about. I mean, I call them the twins, but the twins, you will find we all have different shapes and sizes, our waists, our hips, the way we sway them this way, that way. We're just so divalicious and just so amazing, as African women, as African creatures.
With hourglass shapes.
Yes, we've got hourglass, we've got the pear shape, we've got it all. But to answer your question very specifically about the House of Diva, most definitely, that is what we do. We always ensure that, our size curves go from a size 28, which is probably your very, very tiny waist, not so big hips, not so big twins, all the way up to a 46. We truly say we are about the African women, and we're proud to be that, because we are very clear that with us African women, we're so diverse in especially our body shapes.
Yes.
That it's very important to be able to cater for us differently. So you will find that those women that would even love to even come into studio and get personally measured by us. So we've got personal measurements, but we also find that we win generally in a ready-to-wear space because we also, I think, create garments that are not, you know, and maybe it's a sign of my age, oh my goodness, as the head designer, but, you know, we are not about creating things that would be too, I'd say what, maybe body hugging or inappropriate in that manner or whatever, or see-through and that kind of thing. So our target market seems to enjoy the fact that you can even order from us online and so forth and still wear and fit your garment as long as we know, you know, your bust size, your waist size, what done. We're able to create like that because for the African women and what we do at the House of Diva, the most important thing is for us to understand your bust size and your waist size. And then I tell you now, we're able to create you the most divalicious outfit ever.
All right. And for males, do you guys do anything for us? I don't remember seeing something for us.
I'm always in trouble. I'm always in trouble with men. And I know any of my brother, cousins, oh my gosh, brothers, cousins, partners, friends, male friends who are watching this, they're going, yeah, Phiwase. Actually, you're assisting me. There's a friend who has asked me for a big favor, a male friend that I must get onto. No, Fundile, you were never actually part of my plan. Please don't feel offended. But over the years, you are strongly becoming that. We really sense that, you know, and only yesterday I looked at some gentleman and he looked, I mean, he just looked stunning. I mean, he was wearing a pair of African shorts, pair of flip-flops and a t-shirt, but he looked stunning. And I was like, oh, we've got to make shorts for men, you know, but really not. I think in the beginning, I always used to say, oh, men's things are boring. It's just pants and a shirt. But, you know, that's changing a lot. And I'm finding that we're making you bomber jackets now and things like that. And we're getting there. And you certainly have to be part of the African Emporium.
Yeah. And, you know, after we're done, just go to IMSA and look at, again, Tebe. I think there was some called Midwest Fashion something this past week. And he's wearing some white polka dot, black dots thing. You know, it looks so good. And I thought, wow.
Oh, wow. And have you seen our latest collection? You know, it's called Dots and Flowers. Yeah. So our latest collection is polka dots and flowers. So I'm excited. I'm going to go look at that. But you and I must chat. We really must. And I need to make you a signature. Our first male range, you must be a part of that. But yes, we must explore.
All right. So we are wrapping up now. So about your location in Constitutional Hill, what was the thinking around that? I mean, just next door to the Constitutional Court.
Mm-hmm.
Any reason for why you chose that space, your studio?
You know, Fundi, more than anything else, that space was chosen because of, again, it's amazing because it's Heritage Weekend, but again, because of the richness of its history, right? Yes. More than the court, I think for me, what drew me to that space was upstairs that there's the jail. There's the jail where Nelson Mandela was jailed. Winnie has been jailed at that jail. Ubabo Oliver Tambo. So it was really the richness of the culture. My actual studio is one of the studios that the old warders used to live in. And they've now turned that into an artist hub. So it's really the history and the heritage that drew us there. And it's an amazing space.
So people who are coming to do tourism in Joburg and who are going to Constitutional Hill can also just pop in, at the House of Diva and just see the magic.
Absolutely, they can. And the tour buses used to go around there before COVID hit. And what would be amazing now is that they never used to stop at our studios. But what would be amazing is that we would love more people to visit and come and see. Go see the jail and the prison, whatever, that would be amazing. But please, our doors are also open. We'd love people to come and see. Our building itself is a heritage site. And it's an amazing building. As I say, it was a children's hospital. And it was also where the old warders used to live.
Wow. So if somebody listening here now wants to, to get in touch with, the House of Diva,
Yes.
what do they need to do?
Please find us on Facebook if we can. If you can, we are just simply The House of Diva. On Instagram, we are The House of Diva 72. Our website is www.thodiva.com. We are online. We are also looking at opening several. Keep in touch. Our first emporium is about to blow up in a couple of weeks. We are hoping in Rosebank Mall. And we are excited. We are very rooted in Swaziland as well. We have collaborations there. You can find us there. So to our Swazis, siyabonga, siyanthanda. But honestly, Fundi, it is about going global. Find us on those social media platforms, but also all of those will give you a number you can contact and an email address, whatever you're needing.
So you are there on all the socials. I saw that you guys are there on Instagram. You are there on Facebook. You've got an official page. So people can just search for the House of Diva on the
House of
socials.
Diva and find us, get in touch. There's a number to contact there on all of them. There's an email address to contact. If you want to come say hello, you've just said to everybody, we're on Constitution Hill in Johannesburg here, and we'd love to see as many people as we can all the time. And honestly, this is not a lie. We are always like this at Diva. We're bright, we're colorful, we're happy. This was not just for you. This is how we always are. So anybody who wants to visit, please come through. The love is there. We love what we do. We love you more for loving what we do. And thank you so much for this, Fundile. Thank you very, very much.
Now, as a healthcare, professional at heart, I will not finish this without, bringing in something that's to do with health. So there's two quotations here that says, one of them says, never underestimate the power of a good outfit on a bad day. So when you're feeling down, a good outfit can actually lift you. There's also another one that says, no matter how you feel, get up, dress up, show up, and never give up. So I thought those two are appropriate because, during this period of COVID, 18 months now, we're really going through a lot at an emotional level. And people need various ways to cope with the uncertainty, with all the ups and downs and stuff. And one of the ways is retail therapy. And, what better way to actually, lift yourself up by, than to just hook up with the House of Diva.
And get some good retail therapy. Absolutely.
Right. But anyway, we need to wrap up. There's no more messages. But thank you so much, man. Phiwase. I've enjoyed the chat with you. It's like the good old days. So let's keep the conversations going. I will take you up on the challenge of getting, creatives under one roof. Obviously, it can be a virtual roof. And just, talk about issues of concern and how, we can do our bit as individuals and also as a collective to make sure that, one of the sectors that has been hard hit during this time is, the arts, the broader arts sector, especially those who are into performing arts, but generally the broader arts sector. And I think as South Africans, as Africans, we need to make it our business to help that sector to bounce back, So please, I think let's support our fellow, artists, because they are the ones who give us our identity. They are the ones, when we are down, we go listen to their music. When we are down, we go for retail therapy. When we are down, we go, and do this and that. So I think if there's one key message, the best way to celebrate our African heritage is to actually support those who are still keeping it alive. So with those words, Phiwase, thank you very much. And to everybody who has joined in, thank you very much. Any last words, Phiwase?
No, thank you, Fundile. I'm so touched. This has been amazing. What a lovely way to end the Heritage Weekend. And I'm not worried anymore. We're going to be in touch, and I think we can do amazing things. Yes. I really think we can. I think we just have to be intentional. Yes. And once we're intentional about it, there's a lot of things we can do. And collectively, there's so many names and people we know and names we've mentioned that I think we're forced to be reckoned with, but we have to understand that first. Yes. And once we do that, I think we're really going to be, a magical force. And I look forward to that. And I'm really going to hold you to it. I can now harass you anytime. So please yeah. Do.
Please do. I think your Swati people, they deserve some special thanks for joining in via YouTube. Please say something to them.
Oh my goodness.
They are going through a lot.
Oh my gosh, sanibonani, akade ukuthi ngikhuluma nabo bani manje ngiyanithanda, ngiyabonga Nkosi yami. Yathi angikhoni kwenda lele engikwendako ngaphandle kwenu. Lithando lami angilathi nekuthi ngilithini. For really, because you guys really you are the wings, you are my wings, you're really the encouragement and the courage and the passion. I get it from your love and your endorsement all the time. And not just today. You are consistent in your support for me. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you very much, Phiwase. We will continue to chat offline. Yes. But I'm also going to harass you because I need a certain outfit. Yes, you normally do ready to wear, but you will have to break some rules for me.
Oh my goodness, okay.
All right, thank you very much, yes, Islam. Go and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thank you, Fundi. It's been amazing. Thank you, Putwam. Enkosi kakhulu ngiyabulela.
All right, thank you very much, Mandwandwe. Thank you very much. Bye.